What's good, your boys? What's good? Your boy Osiris is back. We're gonna get started in a little bit about that Fani. Don't let your Fani get exposed out here in these streets. Let's get it. It's almost like the Gateway Pundit read my mind. Get to it, bro. Another late night live. Yeah, what's up, Greg Wilson? We're going to get right to it. Ray, what's up, Ray? From the Ray Infinity Show, as you know, friend of the show. We're going to do another live here in a second with friend of the show, Ray. I'm going to get started. It's like the Gateway Pundit read my mind because I didn't know who Fani, I guess the real pronunciation of her name is Fani, but we like Fani. We like Fannies, don't we, on this channel? We're pro Fani on this channel. And Fannies, I should say. And I'm like, how does somebody like that get elected? It's probably just your typical black area politics. You just elect the black woman just because, yeah, my skin's brown. My skin's dark brown. I guess you're supposed to like me because of that, right? Or maybe you don't because I put on a red hat. But you know how those areas think. So I'm like, okay, that's probably what happened. Same with Raphael Warnock and all of them. But I'm still like curious, like, what's the mindset? Like, are they passionate about her? Like, were they really into this? Because looking at the aftermath, it didn't go the way I think they thought they did. And the Gateway Pundit came out with this article. I summarized it with ChatGPT. I like this because it's giving me the bullet points without having to go scrolling through the article. Here's a summary of the article. I'm going to break this down. This is via Chris Gleason, who did amazing investigative reporting here, and Gateway Pundit. Kudos, shout out, thank yous to Gateway Pundit for this. They're one of the only outlets out here trying to cover this news. So thank you to you guys out there. The article is titled Explosive Revelation That Fani Willis Linked to Massive Election Fraud and Money Laundering RICO Enterprise. And this was from September 3rd, so I'm just now getting to it. Hopefully everybody had a great Labor Day weekend. I actually have a topic on labor-ish about inflation, if I can get to it. This is going to take a second to unroll, though. This is important. The article from the Gateway Pundit begins with a startling revelation about Fani Willis's alleged involvement in a vast network of election fraud and money laundering activities. I'm going to break this down. It might be convoluted, at least it was to me, where I heard the information, I read the information, but then I was like, I still don't fully understand the information. So let me just read the bullet points of the article. And then what I did was I said, let me think of like an example of how this played out. And maybe that will help us understand, at least people like me who are kind of struggling to like, what's really happening? So stay with me here. And then I'm going to tell you why they're doing it too. That was my other question. It's like, okay, why go through all this? Then I was like, whoa, I rattled off like 5 different reasons why they would do this. The article claims, so this is all allegedly, the article claims that in the lead up to the 2022 midterm elections, so we just don't have problems with 2020. Obviously, if you get away with issues with 2020 without being challenged, I don't have proof. I've never claimed to, it's like I have proof of this happening. I have enough evidence to say I don't trust the results. So you let that go. without being addressed, well, of course they're going to run them back. We're at a poker table. They're cheating, allegedly. So you're at a poker player and there's people cheating, and you say, hey, it looks like you're cheating here. And they say, okay, they shrug their shoulders, and then you keep playing the game. So now there's another hand that's being dealt. What do you think's going to happen? That's what happened into the 2020, and there's a lot of problems with 2020. The biggest story of the 2020 was the FTX stuff, but I think that could, I'm not saying that it does. I don't have proof. I don't even have evidence of that, but it could. I have evidence that it could have played a role. Because we don't know. We're in the dark about a lot of this. Significant money coming through Act Blue. And I don't know if that's still the case, but when you went to Black Lives Matter back in the day, I think they might have changed that. When you went to the Black Lives Matter website, it went to Act Blue. Back in the day, at least. I don't know where it goes right now if you want to donate. The donate symbol comes up right at the beginning, and then you go through. And yes, it does. It still does. I'm on the Black Lives Matter website right now. So on the Black Lives Matter website, you go there and you have the donate at the top right. It's right there. You click donate, and I don't know where it's going here, but I do see right here, have an Act Blue Express account. Right here on Black Lives Matter. So there's reasons for this. So we're looking at Act Blue. This is the reporting from Gateway Pundit. I'm going to get into my example here in a second. And when we say this is explosive, man, this is. I said that the man who, if we had a legit process, probably would be president, has been arrested 4 times, and all of the charges are complete nonsense. I went back and listened to a Nick Fuentes live he did with Fresh and Fit, and he said something to the effect of they had Trump dead to rights. I think he was talking about the classified document charge. I'll be doing a video on that. I don't know what the hell Nick is talking about. But, and you know, I respect Nick a lot, but he's I don't know what he's talking about on that. I've looked at every single one of these charges in depth. That's the espionage one. So they arrested him 4 times. So you would think that at this point, you're not going to be surprised. Like if they just come running around, knocking on doors and locking people up, like you shouldn't be surprised at this point. No hyperbole. But this article still floored me. I am still shocked. So this ties into the James O'Keefe stuff that he was talking about from a while back. And you knew that was going to come back and blow up. It was weird. That story from OMG didn't really blow up like I thought it would, where he was knocking on doors and said, hey, did you know you've got all these contributions in your name that's going through Act Blue? And all these people that he knocked the doors on, they were like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So the article claims that leading up to that they funneled finance contributions through Act Blue. This money went to Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock, who was in the runoff, was identified as one of the primary beneficiaries, and Fani was as well. The investigation expanded to other states, revealing that many top Act Blue contributors were not the actual donors, but were victims of a sophisticated money laundering scheme. The article alleges a vast money laundering operation involving wire fraud, invasion of campaign finance limits, tax fraud, identity theft, and elder abuse. The operation is believed to be fueling a larger election fraud RICO operation. This is the ultimate projection, isn't it? That's exactly what they're using on Giuliani, Trump, Jenna Ellis, Harrison Floyd, and others. The RICO. It looks like we should have a RICO on, allegedly, Fani Willis, potentially. Continuing on, the article accuses various local elected officials, including Alvin Bragg, of benefiting from his money laundering operation, from this money laundering operation. It questions the legitimacy of campaign finance contributions made to these officials. What I would expect people like Alvin Bragg and Fani and Raphael Warnock to say is, or to not say is, basically plausible deniability is what they can do. Or I don't know what happened behind the scenes. The article also points to the Wisconsin Supreme Court race of Janet, I don't know how to pronounce her name, Janet Protaskowitz, suggesting that her campaign was funded by the same Act Blue money laundering RICO enterprise. The article provides details about Fani Willis's campaign contributions, noting suspicious patterns and connections to the Act Blue money laundering scheme. The article discusses the RICO Act, its purpose, and its provisions. Again, this is summarized with ChatGPT. That's why it's worded kind of weird there. It raises questions about the potential misuse of the mail and internet for fraudulent campaign finance contributions and ballot harvesting. The article concludes by emphasizing the gravity of the allegations against Fani Willis and the potential implications for her career and reputation. It calls for a thorough, I second this notion. It calls for a thorough, like, if you haven't washed yourself up in a couple days or something like that, like a thorough, like you need to get behind the ears, you need to get you need to get everything, like every little crevice washed up real good. And that's what I think needs to happen right now. I'm going to get into my specific example to kind of get more details of what it is. Just want to say what's up to everybody coming up in the chat. Metalopoly, friend of the show, what's good? Appreciate you. And yes, I'm up late. Good to see you streaming again. Yes, I was on. Money's tight, so we took a little family vacation, just a little road trip. So it was good. We went to New Mexico, believe it or not. And now I'm thinking of it, I should have stopped at Roswell. So I'm going to continue with the Fani stuff in a second, but taking a little break here, just set the scene. We'll get to the specifics that it broke it down. All of that I just read did not sink into my head. So I had to break it down in a different way for it to sink in. And that's when I was really, truly floored with what they were doing, the ramifications of this allegedly. But we went to the Bradley. It was interesting. We went to the Bradley, Bradbury Science Museum. And that's where they talk about all the stuff, all the research that went into the atomic bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And we go in, I got my two kids, 4 and 7, wife there. We go in. The first thing we got in right on time. They got a little 15. It's a free museum. It's just a small little museum. And, it's very fitting with Oppenheimer out there. I haven't seen it, though. I haven't seen the movie, but I guess we know how it ends. But we go in and we watch this 15-minute movie, and I never knew that I believe they dropped 2 bombs. They dropped a smaller one and a bigger one. And one of them's they called it Little Boy. And then the other one was called Fat Man. And they have replicas in there and all that. But the funny thing is, after we left the museum, we were walking around. They had a little place for the kids to play. And we're looking at, the ramifications of this. And what did they turn that area into now? And my wife and I are Googling, how much money did they spend on this? It was fascinating. But after we leave, we're walking away. And one of the kids, neither one of them owned up to it. One of them lets a fart rip just like, poof. And they're walking together. We don't know which one it is. So we are you going to say, excuse me? Or are we going to acknowledge that you just did this? And they both said, so my youngest said, I dropped a little boy. And my oldest said, I dropped a fat man. So that's what they took away. They're so every time somebody talks about farting now, they talk about, is it a little boy or is it a fat man? So I guess hopefully child and protective services don't come knocking. I didn't try to train them like I didn't try to teach them like that. That's what they took away from it. Appreciate you joining. Continuing on with the topic and breaking it down to a little bit more of a specific kind of explanation of what's happening. If you're just joining, this is the perfect time. So I did a Twitter thread and really the point of the thread is actually more to use it as notes for the show, and why not just put it on Twitter is really what it is. So I did a Twitter thread, and I said this thread is aiming to simplify and explain the allegations surrounding a sophisticated money laundering scheme, the one I just described. While inspired by the Gateway Pundit, this is a fictitious example. This is me covering myself liability-wise. I'm just fictitious. It's not real. Let's just say hypothetically, allegedly, maybe, I think. All that stuff that people say when they get in front of Congress for a hearing, I think so. That might be the case. I remember it like this. Hypothetically, my goal is to provide a clearer understanding of this, which I think is a complex topic, but I think a lot of people probably pick it up easier than I do. It takes me a while to absorb things. The setup. So this is the setup for the scheme that my interpretation that Chris Gleason worked on for Gateway Pundit. Imagine a fake scenario where a group of individuals, we don't know who these people are, and that's kind of the point. So it's a group of individuals. Maybe we do kind of know who they are. The shadowy cabal. They weren't fortifying the election. They weren't rigging the election. Not with the Hardy, or they weren't riggers. They weren't rigging the election. They were just fortifying the election. That's who this group of individuals is. So this group of individuals hypothetically forms a digital donation platform. Let's just say it's called Act Blue. This platform is specifically designed to facilitate contributions to various political campaigns aiming to influence the political landscape. That's why they have a group called Black Lives Matter, and the money is funded to this group, hypothetically called Act Blue. What they're doing is using the backs of a dead black person and dead black people, like they're on the streets marching in Columbus here recently. I think it was just a day or two ago. They step on the backs of dead black people to raise money for their goals and laugh at you while you wait for reparations or whatever dumbass idea you have. Continuing on, their primary targets for this operation, not just black people, like what? That's old school. That's like KKK stuff. Like, let's branch out. You know, when you have the Democratic political machine, they don't just, it's not just enslaving people like black people mentally anymore. Let's just go after, I don't know, the elderly maybe, the most vulnerable in our society. You know, these aren't the good guys, right? I think I'm preaching to the choir, but just in case one of your Blackimon asses or any Democratic Party supporting asshat comes into the live, you know you're not supporting the good guys, right? So they're picking on elderly. In my fictitious example, they're picking on the elderly. Dead black men, the elderly, who's next? The children. They're picking on the most vulnerable people in society. These are people who might not be tech savvy or even fully aware of the political contributions being made in their names. So some of them might be doing well, some of them might not be doing well, but they're not really following where their money's going. This group, this shadowy cabal, as described in the infamous Time magazine article, this shadowy cabal's strategy is to exploit this demographic's potential lack of awareness, as described by the living legend, James O'Keefe.
Hello everyone, James O'Keefe here. We have an update into the FEC investigation into money apparently laundered from various addresses through Act Blue. Election Watch will be filing a complaint with the FEC in D.C. over the discrepancies and apparent fraud that has taken place with all these donations, many of which are done through the home addresses of the elderly. Election Watch will file the complaint with the FEC, wait the required 120 days, and then file a lawsuit in the Northern District of Virginia. Now, included in that lawsuit will be evidence that over 60% of the money involved in this is apparently coming from China. ActBlue is feeding a lot of money to other PACs like Emily's List, Color of Change PAC, just to name a few. Much of this information, through Election Watch, came from internet tracing, internet traffic patterns, looking at where the transactions are coming from and where they're going to. Based upon these traffic flow patterns, you can actually see what's happening. There's also receipts of large amount of monies on the FEC website to financial processors like Amalgamated Bank, particularly the Washington, D.C. branch of Amalgamated Bank, one of the institutions making many of these transactions. Dibby is also named. They're a debit card processor out of Utah. There's large amounts of money going through that. Much of this will be included in the lawsuit. But many questions remain unanswered. We hope that this army of citizen journalists watching through OMG will find those answers. Stay tuned.
That is OMG and James O'Keefe. And in his original video, he had the actual knocks and talking to the senior citizens saying, I don't know where this money's coming from. It didn't come from me. Greg Wilson, thank you for the $10 super chat. Greg Wilson says, farts will always be funny. There's no doubt. I don't know why. Farts are always funny. They always will be funny. Even my wife loves the fart joke stuff. She gets into it too. Envy, thank you. $10. That's the $10 sticker. I appreciate it. We celebrate. I am remonetized now. Hopefully, we'll see if that stays or not. But thank you so much while it's here. I appreciate it. Ray from Ray, the Affinity Show, had Stephen Ignoramus on, and things can get kind of crazy. $2 super chat. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate you, man. I'm gonna hit you up so we can do. We got a lot to talk about. I just wanted to get this one out the way. Appreciate all of you. And going back to the thread, so you see that there. Execution of the scheme. Again, this is me writing it. This is not from the Gateway Pundit article. This is me making this scenario make sense. The first step involves stealing the identities of these elderly individuals. Profiles are meticulously created on ActBlue under their names, setting the stage for the next phase of the operation. With these stolen identities in hand, the group begins making numerous small contributions to specific political campaigns or PACs. These donations, although small, are significant in volume and are designed to fly under the radar of reporting thresholds. Who's going to play the role when they make this movie? I don't know when it will be, in 100 years, 10 years, 20 years. Hey, Daily Wire, you could make it now. When they make the movie of this story, who's going to play Raphael Warnock? Who's going to play, I don't know actors like that. Who's going to play Fani Willis? We'll see. I think that movie will be made, though. This is too salacious. To the outside observer, these small contributions appear to be coming from genuine, not employed individual contributors. However, in reality, these are funds being funneled through a network of deception and manipulation. So the group is using the money, they're paying the money, and just using the name of the other people is what's happening, is what I think is happening. To further complicate tracing the source of these funds, money laundering smurfs are employed. These individuals are tasked with making multiple small transactions, breaking down large sums of illicit money into smaller, less noticeable funds. So they've got to break this down. So they might say, hey, I want to give 50 G's to this cause or this politician, Alvin Bragg or whatever, and I want to break it up into like 50 people giving it, 100 people giving it, 200 people giving it. So the money is coming from the group in this case. These smurfs utilize, so that's what I mean. It could have come from, I'm not saying it did. I'm not even alleging it. I'm just saying we don't know. We can't trace it. So it could have come from FTX. Maybe we don't know how much money came from FTX or whoever, George Soros or whoever, his son, whoever. They're hiding I'm not saying George specifically, whoever's doing this allegedly is hiding. These Smurfs utilize various methods from prepaid credit cards to digital wallets to distribute these funds across different campaigns on, I changed it to Blue Aid. So I'm just trying to make sure it's clear it's a fake, but you could also say like maybe Act Blue. Their actions are coordinated, ensuring the money flows seamlessly without attracting undue attention. This is from the article. The scheme was further exposed when I provided the data. This was Chris, I believe, Gleason writing that, to James O'Keefe and his people at O'Keefe Media Group, who captured many unwitting money laundering Smurfs in Maryland. This massive ongoing money laundering operation involves wire fraud, evasion of campaign finance limits, structuring of financial transactions, tax fraud, non-profit fraud, identity theft, and elder abuse. Back to my hypothetical situation, once laundered, this money is then strategically channeled through major banking institutions. I did sub the banks out because you don't want to have problems with these banks like JP Morgan and all them. So let's just say Pioneer Bank or Unity Bank are used lending an air, the article does mention banks, lending an air of legitimacy to these transactions and further obscuring their true origins. Remember the Time article said it's people from all sectors that are helping out with this? And the Time article never said that ended. It was just the beginning, I think. The political campaigns or PACs on the receiving end of these funds are often oblivious to their origins, or maybe just willfully ignorant, or just ignore the potential illicit nature of these funds. So I have a PAC, or I have a political campaign, say my name is Fani Willis, and I'm getting money through Act Blue. I'm like, cool. I won't ask any questions. Just put it in my bank account. It could happen to anybody. Like, oh, all of a sudden, whoa, I got a $10,000 super. You can't do that, but just hypothetically, I got a $10,000 super chat from somebody, and their name is Act Blue. Are you going to question it, or are you going to cash that and say, let me invest this in my political campaign? So we don't know if they knew or not. But I do know they're smart enough not to ask stupid questions. Now, one might wonder why a group would choose such a convoluted method, because this group, this shadowy group, they could just give the money straight out to the PAC. There's no limit there. So why wouldn't you just do it? You can't. There's a limit for individual contributions, but there's that because of Citizens United, you can give however much you want to a PAC. The reasons are multifaceted and rooted in both strategy and evasion. Evasion of campaign finance laws. Direct, large contributions can attract scrutiny. Campaign finance laws set strict limits on individual contributions. By dispersing large sums into numerous small donations, the group can cleverly evade these limits. Anonymity. Direct contributions, especially sizable ones, can be easily traced back to the source. So it's like even better than dark money. I mean, it's dark money. You know, a lot of people are questioning things like who's sending money here. It's not just on Soros' side. It's like, who's Ken Griffin sending money to? And how do I know Ken Griffin didn't send money over here too? And I'm sure a lot of them might be wanting to cover because they're corporate Republicans, and we don't want the uniparty exposed. That could be it too. A part of it. It could be a mixture of all of it. By using stolen identities and making a multitude of small donations, the group ensures their anonymity, making it challenging for authorities to trace the fund's origins. Amplifying influence. By appearing as a vast number of individual donors, the group creates an illusion of widespread support for a particular candidate or cause. So you really need that, especially when your ideas are bad. And you also need to let people know, but I know you might think my ideas are bad, but a lot of people think they're good. That's a very powerful sales technique. If any of you are in sales, or not even just sales, customer service, trying to de-escalate people, one of the very, very solid techniques is just saying, hey, it's no big deal, we're doing this. Oh, I know your bill went up, or I know this happened, but here a lot of people are calling in about it. Here's what they're doing. For some reason, people feel comfortable like, oh, it's not just me. oh, it's just not me who's supporting Black Lives Matter or whatever the cause is. It's millions or it's all these other people. And then now what's your average donation for candidate X? Oh, it's a lot smaller now. It's not as big money as you might think it is. That's what the appearance they're trying to give up. What about this? What about just straight up laundering illicit funds? If the funds for these contributions have illegal origins, they need to be cleaned, kind of like a car wash. By channeling them through multiple transactions and using them for political contributions, the group can launder the money, making it appear legitimate. That could be the FTX scenario. You stole money using a Ponzi scheme. You wash the money out through the politicians who won't investigate or put pressure on you for the Ponzi scheme. And we talked about that with the FTX money going through Ukraine, coming back to the U.S. How much of that is in this? I would bet it's greater than $1. Exploiting loopholes. Some campaign finance laws have exploitable loopholes. For an instance, while there might be limits on, I just talked about this, individual contributions, regulations on aggregate contributions from multiple individuals might be less stringent. And this is just from me as an average Joe kind of saying, hey, ChatGPT, is this possible? So I'll just ask it like, is it possible they could be doing this? And it says yes. And then I can go through it and do the research from there. By understanding and exploiting these loopholes, the group can further their agenda while staying within the confines of the law, at least on the surface. It's a game of cat and mouse with the group always staying one step ahead of the authorities. But they don't need to. You ever seen those videos online where they're robbing the department store, usually in like blue areas like California, San Francisco, Chicago? This is happening in like I've chatted with people from Cleveland to Chicago to San Francisco where they said they saw people just walk up out of the store with stuff. You know, they don't need to run anymore, at least in San Francisco, because it's a win-win for everyone. You don't charge, no one's getting charged. The police is not arresting anyone. They get out the store with their $90 or $949 worth of stuff, or it looks like they don't even care anymore, whatever the value is. They walk out. They don't need to run. And that's what I'm wondering here. You don't need to, they don't need to fully hide all their allegations. Why? Because it all comes down to selective prosecution. You realize none of this matters? In my hypothetical, if that really happened, none of it matters if the prosecutors are in on it too. If the DA, if the state attorney general, and if the head honcho attorney general of the land, Bill Barr or Merrick Garland, if they're in on it too, then it's not illegal because no one's going to prosecute it. So that's why they're lifting stuff up out of the stores. If no one's prosecuting it, it's not illegal, and they don't have to put it down as a crime statistic. So they can say it's the cleanest election ever. If you don't investigate it, by the books it is, because we don't want to look. Brian Kemp, Brad Roethlisberger, all these people are in on it. In my opinion, allegedly complicit, let it go through, and now you can say it's the safest election ever. Oh, and then Google says you can't talk about the election. Remember all that time? And they probably still, I don't know what their rules are on it. I used to look at the rules to kind of study them. The rules don't matter. So you see, all that stuff happens, and then they had the audacity after that election went down in 2020 to ban people and give them strikes for asking questions about it. They're all in on it. I should have wore MAGA versus the machine for this sweater. It's not over. This is civil war, obviously. They locked up that Proud Boy dude for what? Walking in the Capitol for 20 minutes and shaking a bike rack? 17 years. Niggas out here with Molotov cocktails getting money back. Now they're getting locked up. They're getting broke off. Money. Government tax dollars. So it's not over yet. I think in the end, we will get squashed like ants until we get together and band together. But right now, they out here flexing. Let me know what you think. Georgia isn't even a purple state. Ray says Georgia is a full-on blue state. Blue as hell. As blue as any state out there. We might as well have Stacey Abrams as governor. Not much would be different. Maybe the abortion stuff, that's about it. But even with the state legislative body, it wouldn't have been. Metalopoli, always good to hear from you. Thank you. Said you really put work in that thread. Thank you. Good job, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, I'm trying to. I want it to be like breaking down these topics in a way that makes sense to me. Then I think it will make more sense when I convey it. So I really appreciate your feedback on that as always. Yeah, using unaware old folks. I think I messed up in the beginning when I said they're not looking at their bank accounts. They wouldn't know. They got their identity stolen, and the group is using. They're not stealing money out of their bank accounts, to my understanding. So that's what's happening there. Let me give a second to shout out the Discord. We've got Cyan, friend of show. Let me go and check out Rumble as well. So let me take a break before I get into the next topic. It's going to be pertinent for Labor Day. Next topic will be pertinent for Labor Day, so stick around. On the Discord, we're having a good time on there. If you have not joined, join that. The Discord is going to be, we're sharing a lot of links to articles and stuff like that. I'm going to put, kind of use it as more of like an Instagram thing for like just pictures and stuff too. Cyan's on there. Appreciate you joining, Cyan, one of the great friends of the channel. Posting all kinds of great, man, Cyan is a curator of like excellent videos. If you want to find good videos to watch in like BitChute and Rumble and stuff, Cyan's one of the best. Omar, thank you. Shout out to Omar, a longtime Discord user. Let me put the link in the chat, and we will go on to the next segment. Yes, right here. You can get an invite. Metalopoly. Everybody join the Discord. That's where we're chatting. I like that better. It's just like kind of like a small group of people that we've been bonding together with. Casual Goats, Ray's on there as well, and many others. So appreciate y'all growing. That was an idea by Casual Goats. So I like. I'm gonna have stuff all over the place, and really, I just want to meet people where they're at. Some people use Locals, so I'll be on Locals. Some people use Discord, so I'll be on Discord. Some people use Twitter, so I'll be all over the place. Let me get a Tim Pool reference on this. I'm going to do a Tim Pool reference on this because I have a channel called. This is one of my backup channels. It's called the Tim Pool After Show, and I hopefully I'll edit this, but I haven't had enough time to do edits for that channel, and I really want to keep that going active. Tim Pool it's just a simple tweet, and Tim Pool's not one to really lie or anything like that. So I fully believe this. The tweet from Tim Pool is $110 for this, and then I'm going to show you $110. Holy F! We got like chips and dip, some strawberries, and some bacon. And here's the picture. So he's got a cart walking out the store with just a bag of chips. And, bacon can be expensive nowadays, especially if you don't get it on. Anything is expensive, especially if you don't get it on sale. Shout out to my wife. She does a good job of like, oh, shoot, this grocery store has got like ribs on sale or something like that. And then she'll be right up on there, roll up in there, get the ribs for cheap. The deli meat, man, I don't know about where y'all are at. The deli meat is crazy. Like the turkey now, like $13 a pound. Used to get it on sale for maybe $5.99 at times. This is over the last couple of years. We'd get it on sale $5.99, $6.99. Regular price would be maybe $8.99. I think I seen $9.99. Now today, my wife was like $13.99 for that deli meat. So when you're sending your kids to school with lunch or whatever, you got your snacks. It's costing. So Tim posted that, and it made me think about some of these videos we've seen. And it's been kind of tough out there for people, man. And I can tell you, I feel it. I mean, I think a lot of people feel it. That it's slowly the walls have slowly come in on the wallet there on stuff, and got to review like, do I really need this subscription service or need that? That's why I'm grateful everybody drops a dime on the channel. Greatly appreciate you. And some people are calling it a silent depression. This was trending, and this this is one of those, I think, that was kind of I don't want to use a negative term. AstroTurfed is what came to mind, but some people are questioning the details of this and this video here, and that's fine. I did not double check this because it's not. It really, I see the increases in bread. Like, I see it at the store, so I don't need this to validate what I can literally see with my own eyes. But let me play this clip here.
Are in a silent depression. When you compare the Great Depression to today, this is going to absolutely blow your mind. In 1930, during the Great Depression, the average home in America was $3,900. The average car was $600, and the average monthly rent was $18 or $216 a year, and the average salary was $1,300 for the year. Fast forward to today, it is $436,000 for the average home, $48,000 for the average car, and the average rent is $2,000 a month or $24,000 a year, and we have a $56,000 income for the average American right now. So if you look back to the Great Depression, the house was only 3 times the average salary. Now it is 8 times the average salary. The car was 46% of the salary. The car today is 85% of the salary. And here's the craziest part. The rent was 16% of the average salary. It is now 42% of the average salary.
So that's it there. I think this is the one that people are questioning the statistics on, which is fine, and please correct anything that's wrong there. But the overall sentiment is what matters to me, and the overall sentiment is that we are experiencing higher prices. And I've distinguished this before. I learned this from libertarians, that I don't like calling price increases inflation. Prices increase because of supply and demand. If there's a bird flu or something like that affecting chickens, that will increase the price. That's not really as concerning as when the government teams up with what's supposed to be a private bank, a central bank, and prints money for war or whatever other reason, and that then at the end, or if it's a pandemic and they print money, under Trump, CARES Act, and then now we're paying more money. That's different than a supply and demand. So when I say inflation, I want it to mean increase in money supply. But I'll get back to that in a second. Here's a thread. Inflation, a thread. If 2 bags of groceries cost, well, this is not from me, this is from Professor Zenkus. If 2 bags of groceries cost $100 in 2020, after the first year of Biden, they cost $107 because the average inflation rate in 2021 was 7%. Pretty simple. And I'm just going to go with this whack definition of inflation. Since the average inflation rate in 2022 was 6.5, those same bags of groceries would have cost $113.95, basically $114 in 2022. So what he's showing you is this is compounding on each other. It was if it was $100 in 2020, then it would have been $107, and this is just general inflation, not even talking about how some are more inflated than others. In 2021, 107, 2022, 114 basically. And it says this is because the 6.5 inflation rate is applied to the cost of groceries at the time. There was no deflation. So it didn't go down. Prices went up, went up, went up. And now people are poking out their heads, these Bidenomic freaks, like Bidenomics is some good thing. It's not a good thing. It's basically putting a smiley face on really tough times. It's trying to do that. Saying now the average inflation 2023 is only 3.2%, which it is heading in the right direction, but It's still, that's on their definition of inflation, which is just cost, not money supply. But if you're going to stick with the cost, it is heading in the right direction, but it's still increasing. So Biden and the Democrats are bragging about this, but when you apply the 3.2 on top of the 114, the groceries that were $100 in 2020, $100, are now $117.60. So that means those groceries increased an average of 17.6% since Biden took office. How many people got a raise of 17.6% or increased their revenue at their company they own by 17.6%? You would have to increase prices just to meet that. So you and I, we're paying a silent tax, heavy tax. For context, inflation in 2020, Trump's last year in office, there's parts of this I'm going to disagree with. I'll probably digress after that. When they start talking about a living wage, I think it comes across, I don't know this account at all, it comes across as a left-leaning account. And it's weird because they usually aren't good with just basic math and understanding finances, and you'll see that hop in here in a second. For context, inflation in 2020, Trump's last year was 1.4, so prices barely went up that year. But at the same time, you're not going to feel the ramifications of increasing the money and supply and circulation right away. Groceries costing $100 in 2019 went up to $101.40 in 2020. Now, as far as costs, would Trump have made better cost decisions than Biden? Of course. And not only, basically, he can't control costs, but basically things to keep the cost of goods down. Actually, not going to war would be a really good start. And I don't think we would have been under Trump, and he can say that because we weren't under Trump. And not all items are the same. For instance, speaking of war, I would like to know, Ukraine is known as like the breadbasket of the world, is what I understand it to be. And all of a sudden, bread, which we expected since this war started, we said it would take a while. Read some articles going back a year plus. Bread has increased 30% since 2020. So when you talk about the inflation rate, and he's saying basically if you compound it over, you're looking at 17.6% potentially for your groceries. Bread by itself, 30%. So you've got some that are less, some that are more. 30% increase in bread since 2020. Now, the bread that we get for our family, I don't think it's gone up 30%. Well, actually, maybe it has. I think it probably has gone up 30%. And then there's some bread, like expensive bread, that's gone up even more than that. Despite what the government measures as inflation dropping, food prices remain insanely high. Families with kids are struggling now that school has started. So packing your kids' lunch will be more expensive this year. All this to point out two things. So here's where I'm going to digress. The Dems are trying to pull a fast one. They're trying to fool people into thinking prices are going down. They're not. I mean, how do you fool somebody? I can see it when I go to the store. And he said something about a living wage here in a second. Here it is. Democrats could have and should have passed the $15 wage. And like, now I'm out. I'm like, bro, you had me going. That was a good thread until you started talking about the living wage. It doesn't make any sense. I want everybody to make as much money as possible, but you can't have the government stepping in and saying, I know we already have the minimum wage. I don't think we should have it. The companies should be able to decide on their own and let the free market decide. But the whole market has to be free, not just that one part, or it doesn't work. So that makes me think over. So we're having our purchasing power silently stolen from us right before our very eyes. Damn near everybody's feeling it. Then on top of that, it's causing these market conditions that are going up and up and up. So it's like, okay, the market conditions are, we have the higher prices. The Federal Reserve says we've got to increase rates. People are using their credit cards. Your rates on your credit cards increasing. Now, the interest rate for your homes has gone up. So now people cannot get into the same priced home. If there was a home for $300,000 and the interest rate was 4% at one point, and then now it's at whatever it's at. I don't know what it's at now. Let's say it's at 7. That could be the difference between you being able to afford it or not. The Libertarian Party, LP National tweets, both Democrats and Republicans perpetuate inflation, which transfers wealth from those without political power to the politically connected. Libertarians stand apart. We would abolish the Federal Reserve and return to sound money. Now, libertarians stand apart in a way, but let's just say I think part of the move to get Donald Trump is because the difference is not as glaring as it used to be. That's why I said the Libertarian Party, you've got to be careful, not with that tweet there, but you've got to be careful because now you've got Steve Bannon. I've played this multiple times, but really closely aligned with Donald Trump on the stage at CPAC, and he's saying this.
One last thing. The biggest scam they have, the biggest con, is not just the appropriations process and how they fund it. It's the Federal Reserve. Okay? 0.5% of the citizens of this country own more assets than the bottom 90%. That's all happened over the last 10 years since 2008. We took a monetary base of back in the 80s of $800 billion. The balance sheet of the Fed was $880 billion under President Bush, right? Balance sheet of the Fed is...
Hey, Metalopoly, I'm going to get to that comment here in a second. I'm not going to play this full clip, but Metalopoly says it would probably help if our money was still backed by gold instead of, I don't even know what, imagination? Yeah, right now the money is not backed by anything. So I'm going to get into that, talking about BRICS. And I didn't know this until I just looked at it today. There was a Texas bill introduced. It's not going to pass, but a Texas bill introduced to back currency by gold. Their own currency. A very based piece of legislation. I'm going to get to that in a second.
$9.5 trillion today. The debt's $30 trillion. We have $100 to $150 trillion of contingent liabilities. All just because we're the prime reserve currency. The greatest export we have is the dollar. But all of that rests on the shoulders of our children and our grandchildren. Those are all due bills that are come due. All we've done is we've just cranked everything up. That's what they're talking about, these ridiculous, insane bills of trillions of dollars.
So the part that Steve Bannon leaves out, and this is why I like Laura Loomer is great. Steve Bannon is great. But when you're tied too much into Trump, then I see what you don't call out. Steve Bannon does not call out. That's why, as you see why I rock with the Libertarian Party, they had the right tweet, Democrats and Republicans. What happened with Donald Trump was he didn't control the interest rates, but this is insight to what he was thinking. And I'll tell you why he was thinking this. He wanted the feds to keep the rates artificially low to keep the market pumped up. So people borrowed money, they spent money, it kept the economy pumped up. When you up the interest rates, nobody wants to borrow money, obviously, because it costs too much. You could slow the purchasing and all that kind of stuff. Nobody wants to rack up their credit card debt when it's up above 20%. But if it's down, maybe you can hold on to that debt for a little bit, do some Christmas shopping and all that kind of stuff. Donald Trump wanted the rates low artificially when during good times, that's when you should want to raise the rates a little bit to give you some room when if inflation comes, then you can go a little bit higher and you don't have to go jump so high. Or if you need to pump the economy back up, you can go down. But here's why Trump, so I'm not going to knock Trump too much because Donald Trump looks at this, and this is my opinion, he looks at it like, I don't get any benefit if I pump. This is a flaw of our system. Donald Trump's like, if I do the right thing and have them increase interest rates just a little bit at least, that doesn't help me get reelected. What's the point of that? Joe Biden would never do that. These other politicians would never do that. So he wants to keep it low and just keep that pumping out at least until his 2 terms, is my opinion. What happened to Donald Trump, the spending under, I'm not voting for Trump because he's not articulating this, but I would forgive Trump for the spending under the pandemic if he would just say what happened. He got hoodwinked. So the pandemic came. It was nothing like we had ever seen before. The world changed immediately, and everybody was against Trump. And he had to do something to be like, I'm doing something. I'm getting a vaccine. I'm trying to boost the economy up. We were supposed to do the 15 days or whatever, 14 days, 15 days to stop the spread. And then you basically try to shut down the economy. And even if beyond that you don't promote lockdowns, your CDC did. So now they have plausible deniability. We didn't tell Michigan to lock down, but we recommended it basically. So there was a tsunami of like new things coming quickly and fast, and they kind of sideswiped Trump, and he wanted to spend his way out of it. So basically that's Steve Bannon saying end the Fed. Let's look at this article though. I thought this was very interesting. Let's look at Texas. Let me see if I have that here. Texas. This was really interesting. I had this summarized. So here's where I'm going to go to my chat GPT where I got my stuff summarized real quick. Okay. Gold-backed digital currency. Let's take a look at this. What do you think about this? So there's an article that talked about, it's from Yahoo Finance from April. This is from April this year. Gold standard coming back in Texas, huh? The Bretton Woods gold standard, which existed until 1971, basically what that meant was your money that you had was actually backed by physical gold. That ended in 1971 because you couldn't fund these crazy wars like that. You would quickly run out of gold. So now you need some fictitious way to pump money to get war is very expensive. You wouldn't have these wars if the money was tied to something static. But they took it off so they could do these wars. So under the gold standard, the U.S. dollar would have been determined by those with the most gold, potentially surrendering the dollar's control to foreign powers with large gold stockpiles. Many countries in Africa have a lot of gold. They would have more power. So there's multiple reasons why to leave that. This is all in the article, believe it or not. The current fiat system, especially the Federal Reserve's aggressive quantitative easing, increased the M2 supply 27%. This is what we're talking about in the pandemic year. Many believe that the quantitative easing program disproportionately benefits large corporations over small businesses and individuals. In comes Texas. So I'm following the Ken Paxton stuff, and I want to talk about that in a live upcoming. The impeachment of Ken Paxton, that's going to be big this week, big tomorrow. I think they're going to be talking about this in Texas, the rules behind it. And what I'm learning is the Texas State Senate is more based than the House. The House is playing like a lot of shenanigans, but we'll see. I don't know these people, but Senator Brian Hughes and Representative Mark D'Orazio introduced bills proposing, listen to this, Melopoly, everybody, gold-backed digital currency. So I'm like, wait, what? Is that? Because you know that's unconstitutional, right? We'll get to that. The proposed digital currency would represent a fraction of a troy ounce of gold held in trust, ensuring enough gold is maintained for redemption. The bills aim to prevent legislative appropriation of funds from the digital currency, ensuring the gold backing remains intact. So this remains experimental. It would be a central bank digital currency, I guess you would say, but it would be a little bit more legit, I think, than others. So there would be concerns here because this is a digital currency. Questions arise because in the U.S. Constitution, it prohibits. It's very clear. Here's the piece of it. Clause 1, Section 10 states, no state shall coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. So I think it's unconstitutional, but I mean, you could have a liberal interpretation and say, well, I'm making gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. That doesn't fly with me. So I would prefer them to just secede and then make their own, but it's still, I still love the energy. Don't get me wrong. So that's basically that story there. I don't know what's going to come from it, but it's something to think about. Let me know what you think. Nixon said it was the most. I don't even know what Ray blanked that out. Was it fascist? I don't know what he said. Oh, I do remember that quote. Yeah, he got pretty raw with it. Yeah, Kathy Griffin. We can go off topic for a second. I see Ray's studio says, I can't believe what happened to Kathy Griffin. I don't know. Like, does she have cancer or something like that? So I didn't really want to. I did see what happened, but I thought, I don't know if she's like, is she doing treatment or something like that? I don't even know. So that's where I didn't want to get kind of too much into it. But if you don't know what happened, Kathy Griffin had this video that came out. And the plastic surgery looks off. I don't know what to think. So, Kathy Griffin, when I first saw this, I thought this was fake. I didn't think this was real. But apparently this is really her. Terrence K. Williams says, what happened to Kathy Griffin? Why do Trump haters look so terrible? And I got to hesitate. I thought she said she was recovering from cancer or something like that, but it's rough out here. I see.
Hi, you guys. Okay, pardon my ignorance, but I just came back from my daily walk to the beach, and I was watching the surfers, which I find fascinating. It's I didn't see one chick, by the way. It was every single one was dudes, and there were like 30. Anyway, this is a really dumb question, but it's a really cloudy day. In fact, it was raining a little bit.
Let me bring this back. This is Kathy Griffin. I wasn't playing the video. I mean, just look. I thought this was somebody. I thought it was a male impersonator or something like that. She's not looking too good right now.
Hi, you guys. Okay, pardon my ignorance, but I just came back from my daily walk to the beach, and I was watching the surfers, which I find fascinating. It's I didn't see one chick, by the way. It was every single one was dudes, and there were like 30. Anyway, this is a really dumb question, but it's a really cloudy day. In fact, it was raining a little bit here in Malibu, and the water looks like there's like laundry soap in it, like it's sudsy kind of, and it's not clear blue because of the sky. But does the sun make the algae go away? Is that why it looks like there's more algae on cloudy days? I didn't go to college. Can you tell? Hi, you guys. Okay, pardon my ignorance, but
I don't know. I never had problems with Kathy Griffin until the whole Trump holding Trump's head thing came out. And I was like, that's just way too far. I actually liked Kathy Griffin. She was always friendly with the gay, whatever, drag type dudes or whatever. And I thought she was funny. I don't know what happened. I hope she's okay. In all honesty, she doesn't look well. So I don't know what's happening. And I just hope she gets right, man, because the Kathy Griffin that, from 2016, I don't know. Maybe it's just the wig. If she put the wig on, I don't know, man. She's not looking good. What happened to Ariana Grande? She's dope as far as an artist. What happened to her? Did we talk about that in the Metalopoly says Kathy Griffin is full of hate and venom. That'll do it. That kind of way of life eats away at you from the inside. Ooh, Metalopoly with a point there. What happened with Ariana Grande? If somebody could update me on that one. I did not see that one. Did y'all see what happened with Ye though? I'm not gonna pull up any article with that. But Ye was on a boat with his Kim Kardashian looking new wife, and I saw the article with the picture of him, and he had she was on her knees, it looked like, and he had his hand kind of up, and then they were something that should have been going on in private was going on in public. And I never read the article because I thought it was just a picture to make them look bad, maybe she was bending over to pick up a phone or something like that. And turns out somebody was like, you didn't see Ye with his ass hanging out? I was like, nah, I didn't. No, so it was for real. They got banned. They got banned from this boating this. I don't know where it is at this place in Italy, I believe it is, because he was really doing stuff in public he shouldn't have been doing. I don't know if y'all saw that, man. That was crazy. I'm not doing an official segment on that. I refuse. But I did have a tweet. I was like, "Yay, we are trying to save the world, man. There's so much going on right now, and we need your voice in the conversation. As crazy as it is, we need you pulling that Overton window, and you've got that esoteric, like abstract way of thinking of things. We need you in this, Yay. Where you at, Yay?" And he's out there with his Kim Kardashian looking wife. And I'm not going to hate on him, do that, man. And he's over there with her on her knees doing whatever. So I guess he's otherwise occupied. Yay, holler at me when you're done with all that stuff, man. Well, just holler at all of us. Let us know, man. I don't know what happened. What happened to Ye? I saw for sure Nick's not with him anymore or whatever. Is he running, or I guess he's not running anymore. I don't know what he's doing. But I think he got burned out. I think he went too hard too quick. I don't know for sure because I don't know what happened. But my impression of Ye is Ye went too hard too quick, because he was going hard for that hot second. I still haven't unpacked like even a quarter of the madness that was going on when Ye was going hard. And some of it was good. Some of it was, I don't know if any of it was bad. It was just some was better than others. I think it all had a purpose, though. But, Yay, come on, bro. Hey, does anybody have any thoughts on Lauren Boebert? Because I think I'm sidetracking here to just some, sidetrack topics. We've had a mini debate on Lauren Boebert in the chat, which I think I think she looks all right. I don't even look at her that way. And we talk about that from time to time on the channel. AOC comes up from time to time on the channel. How about this? How about this picture of Lauren Boebert? What do you think about this one? This is from Travis and Flint. Travis and Flint says, thoughts on Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. If you're just listening on the podcast, this is Lauren Boebert like you had never seen Lauren Boebert before. And if you don't know what's going on, it's the revolution going on. This is AI. This is artificial intelligence that I don't know for sure. It just looks like it. I don't know what apps. Can somebody tell me how they're doing this one? I don't know how to do this. I have Midjourney, and maybe it got better. I've used it, but I haven't been using it as much recently. I don't think you can do this. I can't do that with Midjourney. I can't get an exact replica. So maybe you could use Midjourney and then Photoshop. I'm not good at Photoshop. But at some point, you're going to be able to just do this. So they put, like, I would say damn near a perfect body. I would like just a little bit more in the derriere, a little bit more in the Fani Willis. But it's Lauren Boebert like you never. If you're listening on the podcast, I'm not going to lie. I'm happy. I'm married. I'm not saying anything. I'm just showing the picture to y'all and to let you in the chat do with it whatever you want to. I'll just say I support Lauren Boebert as a politician. This is the AI version of Lauren Boebert. So I saw the AI version of, Travis posted it too, of AOC. I actually used that for a thumbnail on a video a while back. That was the AOC version was crazy too, because we had the debate about AOC, was she attractive or not, just for fun, talking about that kind of stuff. And they got all kinds of stuff out there for AOC, man. This is the revolution right here. I'm going to get to Tim Pool in a second. I think Tim Pool got it going a little bit, one notch too far for me. Thoughts on Cyberpunk AOC. This isn't the hot one. This is just, you can just take somebody and just turn them like, they made her like, Harley Quinn from the Suicide Squad. And it's a dope picture just to play with AI like that. Believe it or not, I've played with the AI, done a lot of different like pictures and stuff because I want to learn how to use it. That's the real reason I'm doing that. What do you think about Lauren Boebert AI versus AOC Harley Quinn with green hair AI? What do you think about those two? The real battle is probably with the high quality AOC AI and the Lauren Boebert AI. Those two are the ones that go head up. Like that's a tougher decision. Let's just say. Here's the AOC AI that I was talking about. So let me get back to Lauren Boebert, and then we'll do that real quick. Yeah, I know we're in fascinating topics now. Here's the Lauren Boebert AI. So that I think it's the Lauren Boebert. I'm gonna spoil my take on it. The Lauren Boebert, they're both dope, but that's the Lauren Boebert AI. And here's the AOC AI. It's a tough one. I'm a fan of Michelle Rodriguez, and that one reminds me of Michelle Rodriguez, but I think the AOC enhanced AI the Lauren Boebert one is better than the AOC one, but they both have their merit. They have their assets, let's just say. Tim Pool took this to another level, and I was like, I was just like, he's just having fun with it. I'm not dissing Tim on this. But I was like, sometimes you need somebody to be like, bro, just dial it back a little bit. I'm not dissing Tim, but I was just like, because this is on the heels of, remember, Tim was questioning Obama's taste in women, not women, in men. Let me play that clip real quick. So let me get back to Tim. So this is still on the AI topic. And then Tim Pool had this come out here. Let me fast forward to the end.
Well, I will add that Obama, who was then a senator.
So he's talking about Obama, and this is the Tucker Carlson thing where Tucker's like, but Tucker did his own Joan Rivers. He was just like, we know he's gay, and this is not me. I'm just telling you what Tucker said. I'm not even alleging anything. But Tucker was like, we know he smoked crack. We know he's gay. Like, kind of like Joan Rivers was like, it's okay. It was like his version. And here's Tim's take on it.
Bought and smoked cocaine, I think it was crack, before having sex with him. Well, I will add that Obama has not particularly good taste in men, if that's true.
Is the guy ugly?
Well,
And he has good taste in women?
So he's got, and I don't knock Tim for it. I think everybody was kind of thinking it like that's the dude that Obama was allegedly with. But most of us were probably not going to say it. So on the heels of that, Tim's playing around with the probably Midjourney. I don't know what he's using. I know he uses Midjourney at times, but maybe he has a better one now too. But then he started doing all these Trump ones because he's just trying to find a quick way to get. I mean, he can just do a Trump thing and get 1 million impressions and get make money now on Twitter. So he did a Joe Biden one with Joe Biden with super muscles. So if you can make, ladies, let me know. Are you happy with Brandon with the muscles? So if you got AOC, you got Lauren Boebert, who's next? Marjorie Taylor Greene. Who would you want to do next? Who would you want to get the AI enhancement for that would get them to the next level? You might think I'm crazy. You know who I would pick? Kirsten Sinema for my next AI enhancement, believe it or not. And y'all can flame me. I've got my shields up, protective shields up. And but I think Kirsten Sinema, she would be on my short list politicians that for the AI enhancement. Remember, just to get them up there. And we got Nancy Pelosi, anti-friend of the show. But here's Joe. There's Joe buffed up. So it's like, okay, Tim's having fun with this. Okay, that's all right, man. We can have fun with this kind of stuff. So then he's got Trump in these different poses. I actually made a shirt off of this one. I didn't put it up on anything. I don't know. It's just kind of whack. I actually literally did. I took it and then upscaled it and did a shirt for that. Then he has Joe Biden because, he's trying to play, like I'm not trying to just do Trump. So then he kept doing more, though, and I was like, this ain't it. So he did Trump in the Westerns. These are kind of dope. I can't front. This is fire. So this is when you're like this is dope right here. This is Trump. He's wearing a cowboy hat and like an American flag bandana. That's fire. You can do whatever you want to do with it for that one. If you go down, you got more of Trump. That one's okay. He's got his head down. And then who's this? Oh, that's Vivek. I was like, who is this? So he must be using Midjourney because Midjourney can't make Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek Ramaswamy, super jacked with huge muscles. Timcast. So it's just some random, I don't even know if he looks Indian, but some random dude. So this is the one where I was like, okay, bro, we done enough. Okay, this is the one where I was like, okay, bro, we done. You know, sometimes you play around too much and you're like, okay, it's jump the shark, it's over. Democrats think prison will stop Trump, but after he wins and pardons himself, you'll have this to deal with. And he's got Trump with no shirt on and tattoos on. And why am I looking at Donald Trump and his nipples right now? Tim, on the heels of the Obama comment, man, I don't know where we going with this. That was the moment when I was like, okay, we're done. So let me know what you think about that. I had no idea. No thoughts about doing that one, that's for sure. But we got to have some fun. Trump History is a dope account. Have y'all seen this? This is textbook how to really find a niche, your own niche, and blow up, kind of like Libs of TikTok. This account has 135K followers and probably monetized. You could make some decent money with that. I mean, you could make $1,000 a month. I mean, maybe even more with that. So just using Midjourney, Donald Trump, this is fake history, obviously. Donald Trump marches in the first ever Labor Day parade, New York, September 5th, 1882, and has a picture of Donald Trump in that black and white style with the hat on walking down the street. This account is really good. 100,000 views on that one. Donald Trump is a Native American. Breaking news. Donald Trump spotted performing an ancient rain dance at Burning Man. Oh, that's too soon. Witnesses say the rain and flooding started immediately after Trump performed the ancient ritual. Others remain skeptical. I like that one because you got him looking more realistic. You didn't give him a six-pack. So I actually like that one. Nelson Mandela. So this is like making fun. To me, this sounds like making fun of Biden. But Nelson Mandela thanks Donald Trump for his efforts in ending apartheid in South Africa in 1994. Man, he's doing some good Midjourney. Or he's got to be doing Photoshop too. Oh, wow. Did a Trump with Jimmy Buffett? I don't know if that's real or not. Some of these. He has Trump with Donald Trump becomes an honorary member of the Black Panthers, 1966. Oh, man, that account. Whoever did that account, kudos to you, man. That is a really good. That's how you use AI. Now, I couldn't do that because I'm not passionate about, making that my thing, but I would use those for thumbnails, though. And I would credit him, but I would make my own, and I already have, to make. Everybody's doing it. But you see, you've got Midjourney, you're a different type of human being. Donald Trump seen on a boat rescuing Floridians from Hurricane Idalia. Too soon. I'm not going to laugh at that one. But that's some of the cool stuff people are doing with AI. AI is the tool of the revolution, I'm telling you. Oh, Ray, that's Fred. Let's not. Ray. So Jen is great. I would never disrespect Jen like that. She wonderful person, looks great. I would never disrespect a Jen like that. But Ray Studio says, how about an AI Jen Perlman? I'm going to stay out of that. How about a Rift Osiris? I'm going to tell my wife, I've been working out. I've been really working out. So no, I've been trying to lose weight, but that's different than getting ripped. I was never ripped, but when I was younger, I was in much stronger, better shape. I would say around 96. Then I got porky around 2000. Then I lost it, and then got porky again. Then try to lose it now. Oh, Christy Nome. If we could reach, Metalopoly says he wants a. I mean, I could try. I can't do the Photoshop. That's the only thing. So I'll look and see. Yeah. Christy Nome's all right. Yeah. What? Nobody's clamoring for an MTG, huh? Here's Christy Nome. If you don't know, they're clamoring for a AI version of Christy Nome. Oh, absolutely. You can do that. See what you can work out of that. This is Christine Ohm. If you don't know, this is what she looks like. Yeah, for sure you could do that. Ashley Henson. I'm not familiar with Ashley Henson. Let me take a look at Ashley's. Ray Studio says Ashley Henson. Ashley Henson, Iowa. Oh, yeah, I do know. I have seen her. Yeah, I could see that for sure. I could see that for sure. So AI, man, AI can be a tool to make fun of, make memes. It's very powerful. You can make slight alterations. I think those are even crazier than like full-blown changes. An AI Whitmer, yeah, that's for sure. Yep, you could do it, Whitmore. I don't even know. Oh, you know how, you guys know who I would do. I would do as AI enhancement. You know. Yeah, Arizona, Kerry Lake. That's a wrap. That is a wrap. But it would be hard to beat that AI Lauren Boebert. That was fire. I don't know who did that, but that was fire. But back to BRICS. BRICS, I haven't talked about BRICS, but talking about inflation made me think about BRICS. Jackson Hinkle, friend of show, was on with Fresh and Fit. I didn't even know. Here's a clip right here. Fresh and Fit is not just a, make fun of stupid women, attractive stupid women type of show. They talk about real stuff too.
And BRICS, the countries that are in it right now, because I know there's it's Brazil, the R is Russia, India, China, and then South Africa, if I'm not mistaken, is S. But there's been other countries that have been trying to get into it as well, right?
Yeah, so there was just a BRICS summit in South Africa last week. And so in addition to Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they now have Egypt, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, Argentina, and Iran. And there's one more I'm missing off the top of my head. I always forget one. But they brought in a bunch of new countries, and now they have, out of the top 10 oil-producing nations on the face of the planet, they have 7, which are now BRICS member states. Only 2 of the top 10 are G7 states. It's the U.S. and Canada. And then I think the other one is Iraq, and they lean towards BRICS. They'll probably eventually be brought into BRICS. But they control most of the world's oil. They control, I think like 40+% of the world's GDP now, and it's only going to continue to grow. There was like 20 more countries that were very upset they weren't brought into the BRICS grouping during this most recent summit in Johannesburg. And It's just, I laugh and I say it's poetic justice, because what has the U.S. done and what has Britain done for years and years and years? If they don't like Bashar al-Assad, they sanction him, they sanction his family, they sanction his administration and everyone in Syria. They prevent food and medical resources from entering the country. They did that in Venezuela. They did that in Syria. They did that in Russia. We all know. They've done it everywhere. And for the first time now, we're beginning to see the ramifications of those policies biting them in the butt, because all these countries got together and they said, well, if I have a border dispute that the United States doesn't agree with us on, they're going to sanction us and utilize the dollar against us, maybe utilize war against us. If I have a water dispute with India that the United States doesn't agree with us on, they're going to do the same thing. So why don't we, instead of trying to work with the United States, Wall Street, and the City of London, let's all band together and just form a new world. And they're going to be doing that. They're going to be creating this new currency to challenge the dollar. It's going to be backed by a commodity of, basket commodity of like resources like oil, gas, maybe fertilizer, who knows what we'll see. And it's going to eventually win. I mean, there's no easy answer to going back now in the state that our country's in. So what is that?
Just a matter of time. We don't know when this is all going to happen. They are still in the preliminary of this discussion here, but here's let me step away from BRICS for a second. And I wanted to tie it in with inflation. And how are some of the ways, and you'll see how I'm going to come back to BRICS, how are some of the ways that the United States mitigates the visible impact of increasing its money supply, which that's true inflation, just increasing your money supply. How do they do that? The petrodollar system. So it's not backed by gold, as Metalopoly said, but the U.S. dollar is used as the primary currency for global oil transactions. This means that countries need to hold significant reserves of dollars to engage in oil trade. Oil has been described as liquid gold. The demand for the U.S. dollar helps offset the inflationary pressures that might arise from increasing the money supply. So what's happening is we're making the money printer go brrrr, and we're forcing through the petrodollar system other countries to have high demand for the dollar to have, participate in oil transactions. So what's happening is the inflation is being hidden. So the inflation is making the dollar devalue. But the demand from other countries is making the value of the dollar go up. So they're printing the money, the value goes down. The other countries need, you see where I'm going with BRICS now, the other countries need the dollar, so the value goes back up, and they're kind of offsetting each other. I don't know what the exact percentage is. I'm not an economic expert. This is just really basic stuff here. So maybe somebody in the chat, or I could talk with somebody who knows more, who can say how much do these things offset. The dollar as the world's reserve currency. Many countries hold large reserves of the US dollar as a part of their foreign exchange reserves. So that takes money out of the circulation from the US and it increases the value on top of the petrodollar, having reserves for the petrodollar, increasing demand to keep the dollar up. Foreign debt holdings. A significant portion of U.S. debt is held by foreign countries. As these countries have a vested interest in the stability of the dollar, they are less likely to dump U.S. assets, which could lead to inflation. China owns a lot of the debt, and yes, they have an interest in, damn, I don't know how they're going to navigate this. Maybe they're just like, we're going to go off to this new stuff, and then the dollar can go to hell as far as they care, because the debt is just all on paper. I don't even know if it's possible for us to pay it back at this point. So it's just like, somebody owes you, you keep lending the money over the years, and maybe they owe you, $100,000 or something like that. You never getting it back. Kind of like they found Alex Jones guilty for $600-something million or something like that. And it's like he's not going to be able to pay that back. Trade deficits. This is a good one. The U.S. often runs trade deficits, meaning it imports more than it exports. What does Trump want to do? Make America great again. So we're not importing this trash for the dollar stores and Walmart and Amazon from China. We're making our own stuff. It costs more, but it's better quality, and we export it to the world more. But we really need that importing to hide inflation. This results in dollars flowing out of the country. However, the dollars often return in the form of investments like bonds and all that, which can counteract inflationary pressures. So it returns, but it doesn't return in circulation, because if you're investing the dollars in assets like that, it's not liquid. So it's very, a lot of games being played here. Financial markets, the U.S. has one of the most liquid and largest financial markets. Foreign investors are attracted to the stability, increases the demand. Tight monetary policies, this is the Federal Reserve, so they can raise interest rates. That's what they're doing right now to kind of hide the inflationary pressures. That's not addressing the core of money printing. And so those are the basic, and there's even more in there, but those are the basic things there. So now you can see BRICS is now trying to get off of the gold, off of the dollar. And they're trying to say, we don't want to have demand for the dollar anymore. What happens then? Who knows? Maybe those other pressures can help. But to me, once the BRICS stuff goes through, I don't know what the time frame is. Anybody know how long that would take? Here's some questions I had. Are BRICS nations creating their own currency? Yes, I'm the one that asked this question, so this is straight up from ChatGPT for me doing research here. BRICS nations have discussed the possibility, and it's all sourced here, different sources from business, RT.com, so that's Russia and China. This is from the SCMP, so I have different sources here, Al Jazeera, RT again, and Investopedia. So the BRICS nations have discussed the possibility of creating a new, to my knowledge, they have not created it yet. The idea is to reduce the dependency on the US dollar. Do you see how that ties into, we've got the money devalued because we're printing it. but the demand that they have for it, these other countries, helps it keep it some of its value. And these other countries are like, we don't want to be dependent on it anymore. The new currency could be used for trade between BRICS countries, potentially reducing transaction costs and exchange rate risk. What do they need the dollar for anymore? However, as of the latest information, no concrete steps have been taken to introduce such a currency. And that was from the source that I got. Are they tying this currency to gold? Can you trade it in for gold? This is interesting. Are they going to tie this new BRICS currency into gold? So there have been proposals to tie it into gold. However, the currency being tied to gold does not necessarily mean it can be exchanged for physical gold. To me, if it can't be exchanged for physical gold, then I'm not sure what you're tying it into. Ramifications of a gold-tiered currency without direct gold exchange, they probably don't want it tied into gold, because then the U.S. would still have power, because the U.S. can have gold. They could use, that's why we have bases all over the place. We could trick some country into war or whatever, take their gold. Ramifications of a gold-tied currency: stability, trust, and potential for hoarding is a downside. So we'll see how that plays out. But you can see how the chips are going. You don't really have to be an expert to kind of see big picture what's happening. There's a lot of nuance deeper than that, but you see what's happening here. Hike Martman, thanks for stopping by, says it almost like once you are dependent, they can use that to control things. Saudi Arabia has joined BRICS, Bazoo says. January 1, 2024. Is that when they... Wait, what's that, Bazoo? Is that when they're popping it off? I have to look that up. I would have to look that one up. Yeah. Ray Studio says, Ray, why you outed me like this? No, I'm just playing with you. Ray Studio says Osiris's secret dream is to have a double relationship with Carrie Lake and Candace Owens. No comment. Moving along. In a hypothetical, in another galaxy, that would not suck. Moving on. Ray says Pyramid owns 80% to 90% of the world's gold supply. Woo! So then you're empowering. So they're all making these chess moves. They're like, wow. So thank you, Bazoo. So that's when oh man. So what it makes me think, Bazoo, is because I've always wondered, what role does the World Economic Forum play in this? The organization Linda Yaccarino is a part of. What role do they play in this? And it makes me wonder if their role is to make sure that there is a soft or as soft a possible landing for the United States as the rest of the world rises up. And basically that's China. China becomes the new U.S., the new world power, and everybody else rallies around China like they used to kind of rally around or look at the U.S. And the World Economic Forum, in the hierarchy of things, is underneath China. And China's running it, and they're using the World Economic Forum. This Global 2030 is really a push to have a soft landing where China can get Taiwan and do whatever they want without violence. China does not want violence. They don't play violence. They're a very lethal country, but they are very smart and sophisticated. They don't want to have to use bullets. They'd rather use philosophy. They'd rather buy off the top American politicians like somebody named, I don't know, Joe Biden, allegedly, and have them work in their pockets to be able to infiltrate a country. And not just Joe Biden, but, a lot of other people, all the institutions in America. So that's what it looks like. That's the puzzle pieces. Because I remember the peasant journalist was a great, I haven't seen him as much on Twitter, but he was really good with his YouTube channel and Twitter. And he would expose things like the World Economic Forums. That's how I found out about Yuval Harari, was through him, not Alex Jones. I found out through peasant journalists. And I asked him, like, so how does China play in this? How does China play in the World Economic Forum? And I think I found where I'm settling on this. I think China is at the top of the totem pole, above any of these groups. ADL and all them, they're lower on the totem pole. They're just the tools. Does the ADL ever criticize China? I don't think they do. I don't think they do. And I don't think they do. So it shows you who gets criticized, who doesn't. So I think that's what's happening, Bazoo. Saudi Arabia knows that's happening too. Did we have the Saudi Arabia joined officially? Saudi Arabia joined BRICS. Damn, was that with the meeting that just happened? Wow. So let me do this in real time, summarizing this article. I've not read this one, so it's dangerous because ChatGPT gets a lot wrong, but I'm just doing this on the fly. Summarize. So I'm going to go over this. This is from Bazoo. Thank you. I had not read this. This just happened August 24th or so, or 23rd or 24th when they met. Saudi Arabia officially joined. That's what Jackson Hinkle was talking about. But it's like, man, it's just hard for me to have this sink in. I mean, we're supposed to be buddy-buddy with Saudi Arabia. This is crazy. So what is the purpose of like Joe Biden and what, and the people behind him if we can't still be buddy-buddy with Saudi Arabia? I mean, not that I want to be, but I'm fine with diplomatic relationships, especially with the oil, the power there. Saudi Arabia and Iran are among 6 countries invited to join BRICS as new members next year, as announced by South African President Cyril, is that how you pronounce it? Cyril Ramaphosa. The BRICS group, which consists of China, Brazil, South Africa, Russia, and India, India is supposed to be our ally too. Brazil's supposed to be our ally too. This is not looking good. I'm like, oh wait, Saudi Arabia is supposed to be our ally. Oh, India is supposed to be our ally. Brazil is supposed to be our ally. Reached a consensus on the expansion process during their 3-day annual summit in Johannesburg. The countries invited to join as full members from January 1 next year, thank you, Bazoo, appreciate you, are Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Chinese President Xi Jinping described the membership expansion as historic. He's not lying. And believes it will bring new energy. Oh, it will bring new energy to BRICS, the BRICS cooperation mechanism. Mohammed Jamshidi, a senior advisor to Iran's president, welcomed Iran's admission, considering it a significant development for the country's foreign policy. Man. Yeah, this world's changing quickly. Life happens fast. You better hang on and keep up. Jackson Hinkle and Jimmy Dore are both on Ukraine's unlive list. What a wonderful democratic country, huh? I heard Jackson Hinkle. I didn't hear Jimmy Dore. Damn. And we don't have any U.S. officials that say anything about that? I know this is unofficial. I think when Jackson Hinkle was on there, I kind of looked into it because that's when I got scared. I'm like, damn, they putting YouTubers on their hit list? Damn. But peep this out. Let me change subjects. Peep this out. Another thing for people who say X doesn't matter, X is this, X is that is stupid. An Israeli intelligence officer allegedly in a Twitter space. Check this out. This is wild right here. So this is from Keith Woods. Keith Woods says, watch. The moment I exposed Israeli intelligence officer Vivian Berkovitchi trying to disrupt the ADL files Twitter space. So this is against the ADL. And he's doing a Twitter space. It's blowing up on X, and sounds like they're concerned. After asking her about her background working with Israeli intelligence firm Black Cube, she quit the space and deactivated her account. One of the most instant iconic moments I have ever seen on X.
Can say this. I've been accused of all kinds of horrible things personally because I'm Jewish. And a number of listeners here, and maybe they'll have the courage and integrity to speak up, have already messaged me on Twitter saying, oh, well, we know which side you're on, don't we? A dual citizen, ergo dual Canadian-Israeli citizen, therefore she can't be trusted, can she?
I get this.
People who wrote those messages, any of the people who wrote those messages have the integrity to speak up now and tell me. Why
Well,
did you say
Vivian,
that?
I have a question. If we're talking about conflicts of interest, is it true you work for an Israeli intelligence firm called Black Cube?
No, who are you? No.
Uh-oh.
Keith Woods. Nice to meet you.
I get accused of being Mossad every time I pop into a space.
I think we're going back to the moving away.
No, it's on our Wikipedia.
Yeah,
it's on our Wikipedia. I'm not
sure. You can state it. People could check out on the Wikipedia. I just want to go back to the specific points. And there's one point you made earlier, Vivian.
She didn't really answer.
Yeah, but she jumped off. That's like I wanted to keep it on the particular points.
I wonder why.
But let's.
If you don't, let me reset it one more time. So this bro, Keith Woods, I don't even know who he is. Let me look him up. Writer at Substack, host of Understanding Platonism. I'm actually not familiar with that. Free speech enjoyer, ban the ADL. So this is Keith Woods. What is platonism? Let me look that up real quick. Get educated in real time. Let me see. So I'm looking this up right now. Refers to the philosophical training of Plato. Oh, Platonism. Oh, okay, Platonism. So it's the philosophical teachings of Plato. Interesting. Platoism. Okay, very interesting. So I'm not follow this dude. Okay, I'm gonna have to get educated here. But this is so just to reset. He asked about her background. I guess he looked it up in Wiki. Working with Israeli intelligence firm Black Cube, as she ejected from the space, and they tried to save her. I don't know who the host was there.
Every time I pop into a space.
I think we're going back to the.
Who wrote those messages have the integrity to speak up now and tell me. Why
Well,
did you say
Vivian,
that?
I have a question. If we're talking about conflicts of interest, is it true you work for an Israeli intelligence firm called Black Cube?
No, who are you? No.
Keith Wood.
This is me. Like my wife, like she might listen to the live, and be like, "Wait, did you talk about that?" I'm gonna just tell her it wasn't me. It was Ray Studios. Did you talk about Carrie Lake and Candace Owens and some type of double relationship? What are you talking about? I'm like, what did you say?
Interest. Is it true you work for an Israeli intelligence firm called Black Cube?
Me responded to my wife like, "Who are you? What are you saying?"
No, who are you? No.
Keith Woods. Nice to meet you.
I get accused of being
He said, Keith Woods, nice to meet you. I like this guy already.
Is it true you work for an Israeli intelligence?
I like it. He's just deadpan too, and just ask the question.
Of interest. Is it true you work for an Israeli intelligence firm called Black Cube?
Is it true that you were talking about Carrie Lake and Candace Owens in some type of relationship, or what was that about?
No, who are you?
No.
No.
She was like, "No, who are you?"
No, who are you? No.
Keith Woods. Nice to meet you.
I get accused.
Ah, that's a great. I might try to sample that. Keith Woods, nice to meet you.
No.
Keith Woods. Nice to meet you.
I get accused of being Mossad every time I pop into his face.
I think we're going back to the moving away.
Well,
Moving away.
no, it's on our Wikipedia.
Yeah,
it's on our Wikipedia. I'm not just throwing stuff out there.
What are we moving away? We're talking about the ADL and conflict of interest. She made her statement, and he said, "Well, I think you have he basically intimated, I think you have a conflict of interest because you worked with this Israeli intelligence firm, Black Cube. So maybe we should disclose that before you start up here whining about what you're whining about."
Because I'm Jewish, and a number of listeners here, and maybe they'll have.
So how is it not relevant? Why did they jump in to try to save her? She's up here, well, I'm this, I'm that. It just sounds just like the whatever identity, gay, black, trans, whatever. I'm this, I'm that, I'm oppressed.
I can say this. I've been accused of all kinds of horrible things personally because I'm Jewish. And a number of listeners here, and maybe they'll have the courage and integrity to speak up, have already messaged me on Twitter saying, oh, well, we know which side you're on, don't we? A dual citizen, ergo dual Canadian-Israeli citizen, therefore she can't be trusted, can she?
I get this.
People who wrote those messages, any of the people who wrote those messages have the integrity to speak up now and tell me.
Well, Vivian, I have a question. If we're talking about conflicts of interest, is it true you work for an Israeli intelligence firm called Black Cube?
No, who are you? No.
Keith Woods. Nice to meet you.
I get accused of being Mossad every time I pop into his face.
I think we're going back to the moving away.
Well,
Moving away.
No, it's on our Wikipedia.
Yeah,
it's on our Wikipedia. I'm not just throwing stuff
You
out
can
there.
state it. People could check out on the Wikipedia. I just want to go back to the specific points. And there's one point you made earlier, Vivian.
She didn't really answer.
Yeah, but she jumped off. That's like I wanted to keep it on the particular points.
I wonder why.
But let's.
It was on point. What are you talking about? I don't know who that host is. It begins with an M. I've seen him before. I probably follow him, but I don't. I think it's Mario. I got to double check that. Let me look real quick and see if I can.
I can say this. I've been accused of all kinds of.
Mario Nawfal. He used to have that NFT as his. This is the dude here who interrupted. Let me make it bigger. This is him. He does these huge Twitter spaces. Somebody actually did an expose on him. So you know what, Melopoly? You got a point here. Who is that? Somebody did an expose on him. I think I have it bookmarked. I'm not going to go into it now, but they were asking some questions about him, like if he was legit, accusing him of boosting his Twitter spaces. I think that's what it was with bots. But I don't want problems with these type of dudes, man. These dudes are no joke. They don't play games. But Keith Woods was like, I think it is relevant. It is relevant. Why are you running interference? I wonder if he knew. Something. I'm gonna end on a positive note. Well, so I got a Paul Jones says, who the F streams at 1:45 a.m.? That's a great question. I think if you're gonna talk about threesomes with Carrie Lake and Candace Owens, 1:45 a.m. is the right time to do it. Give me a little bit of credit for that. Paul Jones, thanks for dropping the comment. Alex Jones has CIA ties. Okay. But I want to talk about this Israeli or ties to this Israeli intelligence firm running up in somebody's Twitter spaces. That's kind of odd. And then deactivating her account. Not just that, because he went back to her account. She deactivated her account, at least at the time of this post. He asked her just a simple question. She was like, I'm out, jumped off the Twitter spaces immediately and deactivated her account. I think you're right, Ray. I think we got the answer in the reply, is what I think. I'm going to go out on a limb and say we got the answer in the reply. A couple other smaller topics and we'll be out. Elijah Schaefer says, I hate my generation so much. It's hard to blame him. Meow, meow, meow. It looks like it's a cat birthday. I don't know what the hell's going on. Meow, meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow.
Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow.
Blow out the candle and make a wish.
Blow the candle, Jason.
You enjoying your birthday cake?
I mean, I guess you could do that. I mean, I remember we got a cupcake. So if you're just listening on the podcast, it's 3 cats, and these are grown adults with like a full-blown signs and balloons and cake and everything. I remember we got our dog a treat on his birthday and, threw him a bone. We weren't doing all this. So maybe it's not that weird, but I don't know. It's a little much, I would say. And it made me think about this video. I don't want this to happen, but this video is crazy about an asteroid hitting Earth. Take a look at this. What it would look like if the largest asteroid in the solar system collided with the planet Earth. 1 minute and 33 seconds that I think you'll want to see. If you're just listening, there's no sound. So we're seeing it kind of like in slow motion. An asteroid, the largest asteroid, I believe they said in our solar system, hitting the Earth, and you're seeing it like just come through and just create like 1 million atomic bombs type of stuff. Completely gouging the Earth, spraying lava all over the place. What a epic type of video this is. So people are using like simulators or something like that to make these. So you basically have a tsunami of lava. And there was a picture recently of some type of big impact on Jupiter with, I think it was an asteroid as big as Earth hitting Jupiter. Now Jupiter's way bigger than Earth, so it looked like a blip. But there you go, just red and seas everywhere. So maybe that's fitting after the happy birthday to the 3 cats type of video. I think this one, I'm going to end with this, and then actually when I talk about the inflation, well, what's the answer? I think there is one person, there's more than one, but one person that's on my mind right now that has the answer or has something that I could say is the answer. But I think we will get up and we will win. Take a look at this.
World says no, but you say yes.
So this is a race, it's hurdles. And we're watching somebody do hurdles and they trip and fall. So this is women's hurdles. I don't know what the length is on it. And the woman trips and falls. And usually that's a wrap. It's going to be hard to see probably, even if you're watching on video. And you can probably tell what's going to happen. She tripped and fell during the hurdle race and did so well in the rest of the race. She caught, I don't know if this is like high school or something like that. She caught everybody else and came from behind and won. Something you don't see very often. And I think that can happen. I'm going to bring it over to Dr. Shiva's site. I'm going to end on this with Dr. Shiva. I've been bumping around Dr. Shiva's site. I really like what I see here. It is truthfreedomhealth.com. I'm going to put it in there. Have somebody go ahead and burning alive isn't happy. No, this is the happy ending. That wasn't the happy ending. This is a happy ending for someone somebody trying to do a solution here. Get educated or be enslaved. And so he has a whole breakdown here of truth, freedom of health, which are his core principles. And Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai is the only candidate for president that has a campaign that stands alone, even if he doesn't become president. To me, he is the only campaign that has an empowering message, empowering campaign that nothing needs to change, even if he doesn't become president. You could say Vivek could try to do the same thing, but it wouldn't be the same. He's really just doing the typical, here's my policy, even though he's better than most. And Ron DeSantis, what does he do that continues? And I don't think he might talk against wokeness in general or whatever, but it's not really. He doesn't have an empowering message. It's more generic. And this is the message that I really wanted to end with. How do we overcome this issue with inflation and all that? Well, we've got to be healthy. We have to fight for and understand freedom and truth. That's the principle. And then from that, you find out, what you're good at. How are you going to make it through? How are you going to get income? And he goes through the site and he talks a lot about this. So he has this one part about get educated or be enslaved. During these times of chaos and uncertainty, the system of power, profit, control seeks to drive you into complacency, division, and desperation. But you have taken time to visit truthfreedomhealth.com. You now have at your fingertips the choice to access this invaluable information. And so what he does, he adds, I haven't contributed here yet, but I think I am going to. I want to support, and I want to see the actual information. He said he gave it away for free. People didn't want it. And you could understand that. I mean, that's how fashion works. You make your shirt cheap. Nobody wants it. You make your same shirt, instead of $10, make it $100. Now it's a fashion statement, or maybe there's a little bit more desire there. Foundations of Systems course is what we're talking about here. So he talks about getting workers together. I'm going to end with videos from Dr. Shiva, breaking that down. I really like his message. And a lot of people say, well, he rubs me the wrong way because he comes across as arrogant. That's the feedback I got. And I said for Shiva, you got to listen to the feedback and do with it what you will. But for me, I want somebody who has a big FU energy. And that's what he has. He gives no Fs. He's out here just to slay people and just to say. Now, at the same point, if you're going to do that, people are probably not going to invite you on their shows. Okay. I think that does say something about anybody who wouldn't, but that's absolutely fair criticism. I have no problem with that. But let me leave you out with some of his videos, some of these, I think, empowering messages that he has. He talks with anybody. He'll have a conversation with anybody. Conversation with me. I'm a relative, obviously, nobody. And he's pro 2A. Let's get into some clips from Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. I'm going to be out. Thanks a lot for listening. I'm just going to leave you out with some clips here. And I'm really going to be digging into more. I think he's a libertarian candidate. I asked him about it. He didn't agree completely, didn't disagree either. Let me show you this clip here, 2A clip. And I think this is very fitting for, I think it's actually very fitting for Labor Day to talk about workers. He talks about uniting. I've given up on the unite game type of thing. Like I don't want, I think it's, before I play that, I've given up on the unite game. I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, but I think things have become so serious that natural alliances should be forming, and it shouldn't be hard to form. Shouldn't be any, well, you need to unite this side and that side. No, the walls are closing in, so we're being forced to become united. If we're not, then that means the walls aren't. That's all that means, is the walls haven't closed in closely enough. You're still doing all right. We're still spoiled enough. We're still not in the gulags. We're still fine. When that point happens where there doesn't have to be that, oh, let's get everybody together and unite, and everybody just realizes, wait a second, we're all in the same foxhole. Let's get it done. That's when I think it will happen. But without further ado, let me get over to Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai.
The Second Amendment wasn't created for the elites to go hunting. The Second Amendment was created for us working people to defend ourselves from the government. My Department of Defense.
So this is very, very pertinent Labor Day. He talks about working people a lot. And he doesn't want to talk about it from the standpoint of working people for Trump or working people for Biden or whatever. You should be working people for each other. F the politicians.
The Second Amendment wasn't created for the elites to go hunting. The Second Amendment was created for us working people to defend ourselves from the government. My Department of Defense is going to make sure every American is trained to use weapons. When everyone is fully armed, no one fucks around with people in communities. What they have done is they've armed the gangsters and the criminals, and they've armed the state, and they've disarmed the working people. When working people want to rise up, they'll actually unleash the thugs upon us. All the thugs and the mafia and all these people, they have weapons. This is why all great revolutions always encourage freedom of speech and the Second Amendment. You know a revolution's going the wrong way when they start disarming people. That's when you know it's becoming authoritarian. We need to make sure that by the time a child is 18, they know how to use weapons. Every household should have enough weapons to protect themselves from the government. We are building a movement now. TruthFreedomHealth.com on our political campaign, ShivaForPresident.com. Get a flyer, get a bumper sticker, get on the ground, tell your friends, share this video, get this out there. Truth, Freedom, and Health. Shiva for President. Between 1900 and 1970, as the economy grew, everyone's wages grew because there was a strong working class movement, a bottoms-up organic movement that put the fear of God into both wings of the establishment. Over 11,000 strikes, nearly 150 million people on the streets. That made the wings of the establishment recognize that they better treat people fairly. Everyone prospered. By the 1950s, the establishment was so afraid of these bottoms-up movements that the Republicans, led by McCarthy, branded all of these movements Marxist as though they were being run by Russia. That was the early Russiagate. The left wing, this Bernie Sanders of the time, took over the unions. After 1970, there was no more bottoms-up union movements. And between 1970 till today, $47 trillion in wealth was transferred from the working class of this country to the elites. The average American worker is lucky if they have $400 in savings in their bank accounts for a rainy day. Both Republicans and Democrats have done this. We need to build a bottoms-up movement. TruthFromHealth.com. Go to ShivaForPresident.com. Volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. All right, everyone, this is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. We're here at the MBTA station. We're here to educate people that the future is offline. It's very important that people get on the ground. Social media has become run by the elites. We have to go offline, so we just distributed tons of these flyers. And as you can see, what the flyer says is the lesser of two evils is killing your children. It's a wonderful graph because it shows that over the last 80 years, the United States life expectancy is going like this. That means if you have a child, your child is going to live a lower lifespan than you. And the only way to get this out is we got to go on the ground and we got to educate citizens as we're doing right here. So we've had Chris, we've had his girlfriend Jen, we've had Jason who came up from Florida. We've been on the ground here putting out flyers to educate people. The future is offline. And we're going to be distributing 50 million, 100 million of these flyers. People can just take an image of this and it'll take them to the swarm video. We want to teach people who are the elites, who are the people who are actually abusing you. Get on the ground, go to ShivaForPresident.com.
I like how you cuss. I ain't gonna lie. I like how you cuss and call them like Booby f***ing Kennedy and all of that. That's what catches my attention. That's keeping it real. If you want to catch somebody's attention, diss them. Diss their name. That'll catch their ear real quick. I signed up, took the course. I'm trying to be a leader out here for the West Coast. You know,
That's awesome, man.
We keep it gangsta out here. When I believe in, when my heart's in it, that's when I make a move. Watched the GOP debate last night. Just because I'm doing all of this, I can really see a swarm. I seen it like a cartoon, and I was really just laughing because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. I just want to educate myself. There's you got to learn it, then you can teach it. Then I want to get out there on the field. 2024, I'm all for it. Get my bumper sticker soon. Print up some flyers. I kind of already know what to do, but just need that little push from the team. So I'm definitely trying to get on the West Coast team out here, California. Put you on the ballot, man.
We have a Imagine you're a 4-year-old kid. You have a really good friend. You play all different games with him. It's a very hot day, 100+ degrees in the Indian sun. Your friend invites you to his home. You're going to his home with your soccer ball in your hand. His mother comes out and starts calling you Shudra, which is like the N-word. Spits at the ground at you. Says, you stand here, brings her son in, and gives you water in a dirty cup. You are worse than a street dog. Cannot come into her home. That's what I experienced as a 4-year-old child. And you're a child. You don't understand why she's so mad at you. Asking my mother, why did this woman do do this. My mother proceeded to tell me that when she used to go to the well to get water, they would chase her away like a pig. My mother said, we have a caste system and we are the lowest of the low. I was deeply hurt, but wanted to understand this. I started wanting to read books of great heroes, Jesus Christ or Rama, the great warrior, great revolutionaries. The story of my life is that there's a deep injustice that is taking place to working people throughout the world. The decision I made was that I would become something to destroy this fucking injustice. Truth, freedom, health, Shiva for president, period. Imagine you're a 4-year-old kid. You have a really good friend. You play all